Alrighty then. So, getting debriefed from last time, you guys finally departed Arborsdale. Ben in tow. There was a last-minute stop at the marketplace to grab some last-minute things. You guys started making your way out to the tower, the place that he said that you were going to have this whole conversation about Ethan's tract. On the way there was just general tomfoolery and general good-natured ribbing amongst the companions here, and little hunting competition ensued. I think the votes came in with Hangman being voted the champion of that.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then you guys finally continued the rest of your way to the tower, made it there, were just silently escorted to wherever the end destination is going to be, and found yourself in a large, very huge, cavernous space in the presence of a very, very, very big gold dragon who greeted you upon your entry. And that's where we left off.
I am visibly stunned.
Yeah, I can barely stare at this thing without,
kind of
intimidated.
More so, yeah, just the scale of the room and also the stark contrast in his introduction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his very shrill voice kind of caught me off guard.
Double dose of off guard.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well,
Nox, I'd like for you to make just a wisdom check.
Okay.
Confused at the what evolutionary things happened that gave a lizard 6 legs.
So once you actually get into this room and are standing there in front of the dragon, you start to get that sort of sensation that Ben warned you about, of this room being like a non-magical sort of place. You're now aware of a severing kind of feeling. Like the connection that was there before to you and your arcane side wasn't really noticeable because it's just a part of you, but now that it's gone, you notice its absence.
Do I notice is Crowan still around? Since
disconnect from
Crowan is kind of like a fae.
Oh,
You talking mad shit on your crow?
no, his crow just like
Fae.
He's so fair. And
He's there, but he's kind of almost illusory. Like he's physical and he's solid, but sometimes when you look at him, you can see it's sort of like the blur a little bit. It's just hard to really focus on him, and you can see through various parts of him at times. But he's there, and he's still fully functioning.
Okay.
it's weird danglies that look like a beard creep me out.
Ben, I'm gonna need a little bit more information here. This is more than I had bargained for.
I forgot Ben was with us, so I thought the dragon's name was Ben for a second. I was like, what?
We don't know what this dude's name is.
Benjamin the Dragon? And Ben just kind of is facing the dragon, but then just turned towards you slightly to speak to you, and just says, I think it best if I let this one explain, gesturing over to the dragon.
This
Um,
sounds really
And the dragon, when you guys entered, was poring over this large, like very, very big tome, and he's now turned his attention to you and is facing the four of you.
is he? Can I tell what type of dragon he is?
Make a, let's see here. What are you gonna make for that?
A look at him check. Because of his
Intelligence.
He's got fingers coming out of his back.
what?
Intelligence?
I'm gonna say just roll a nature check.
I mean, I would assume that I know about draconic ancestries, but nature.
You can make this with advantage because of your draconic heritage.
First one.
Yeah, take the first one.
13.
Well, obviously, it's gold, so it's not going to be on the chromatics side of things.
I would also like to make that check. See if my noble education knows what's up.
Well, Heskar, just based on your sort of evaluation of this thing, like, it's very, very big. So, you are able to at least guess that it's an adult. You can't pin down exactly how old it is, but it's, with its size, definitely an adult, at least. And what was your roll for that one there?
You done. In Draconic, I'm gonna say, greetings.
And the reply comes back to you in this voice that, again, is strange to be coming out of this large creature in front of you. And in Draconic, discuss no timber. And you just, that's what it sounds like in Draconic, but to your ears, you know that the translation is, I welcome you.
I give him a slight bow, and I kind of wince when he talks. He seems welcoming.
Mm-hmm.
It's so finally good to see you all again. I was wondering when we might cross paths.
Oh my god!
It's been a while.
Shay?
Oh, yes, silly billies. But that is, just an alter ego I go by. An alias, as you might say. Really, my name is Sorrento.
Yeah, the dude we bought the fang from.
Yes.
Was a fucking dragon.
Shay.
He was a dragon.
Shay the
whole
Broken.
time.
Questions start to develop every second. First and foremost, I'd say, why the charade?
Well, it's sort of necessary sometimes when I need to go out and about in the world and I need to keep my true identity hidden. It's best to stretch for the farthest reaches of different heritages and customs and cultures. No one would ever think this Shay character to really be me. And you now hear this very almost like sultry, but just like kind of Sigourney Weaver-ish, like female-sounding voice coming out of this dragon that's just much more neutral, we'll call it.
Okay, that's more pleasant to our ears, I think.
Did you guys catch the name when I said it?
No.
She introduced herself as Sorrantis, and I'll type that out for you.
Shay. Shay is Sorrantis. Sorrantis is Shay.
Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is a man. Okay. Sorrantis.
Well, I didn't expect you all to be coming here of your own accord. What brings you to my place of solitude?
Oh, well.
Well, you
After
left.
we last saw you, we left and we went to Ethan's tract. Are you aware of Ethan's tract?
I'm aware of many things, sweet orc. And she's talking to you like a mother would talk to a child.
Well, the reason we came here was actually at the behest of Ben. According to him, the conversation could not be held elsewhere. We were interested about the history of Ethan's tract and what had occurred there.
His assessment was the correct one. The details about that place are best spoken of in very specific boundaries. And now that we are here, we can speak more freely about it. Ben, if you would just lock the door, make sure that no one else is going to come in. I don't want to have any contamination now that we have this topic underway. And you just see Ben kind of go back behind you guys to where the door is, and he takes just a small bolt on the side of the door and bolts the door shut.
awful lot of secrecy and security for a
Yeah.
conversation.
A lot of precaution.
For good reason. I know it might seem a bit mysterious or melodramatic, but it really is for the best for everybody. See, the reason we needed to bring you here, and you needed to be brought to a place of anti-magic to have this conversation, is the reason that Ethan's tract is in the state that it is a, for lack of better terms, magical disease struck through the town years ago. And this disease spreads through its mention, through its conversation, merely bringing the presence of this idea or disease into our spoken word brings on the symptoms. It's a passing of information that sort of spreads the disease. It weakens, it sickens, and then it kills.
And pray tell, how does this occur? It seems like pretty prodigious magic needs to be used for this to even be possible.
Well, all that we know is that a certain figure came through the town not long before the symptoms started to appear, and he attempted to, as far as we know, cast some sort of necromancy spell that would bring someone back to life. But everything that we know of the account is this was a benign act. He was not trying to bring harm to anyone. It was, from what we can understand, a forlorn lover trying to bring back his lost partner. The spell somehow was tainted or interrupted or changed somehow, and it became this blighted curse that killed and then reanimated its victims.
And as the evidence clearly suggests, there was no way to halt or reverse this.
Sadly, no. Once the disease that we've taken to calling it takes its hold on its victim, it cannot be purged. It is a lasting effect. And sadly, once they've been afflicted, that is not the end of their suffering. For once they die, they return as just undead, shambling shells of their former selves.
And this is still going on? They're still infected?
The infection is by then run its course, but the magic still holds sway over these people.
How do we permanently put them to rest?
Well, as you would any other thing. Destroy an undead as you would any other undead. But the major thing here is that the spread of this disease was ebbed. It has been held in check, and that is why such precautions are taken when any sort of discussion takes place of this. We like to just let it go back to being a forgotten thing in history and not speak of it as little. We try to speak of it as little as we can.
But
What if we speak about it not in this location?
Well, then whoever would hear your speech would become infected, and they in turn could tell somebody else and would become infected as well. It spreads very quickly in that way.
How do we sever the source of this magic?
None is known. We've been attempting to research and find not only for that, but a sort of cure or a treatment that we can use for many of the things that are plaguing the greater lands.
how long does it take for symptoms to develop? It seems that it's not taken hold yet, but I mean, for such a strange type of disease, as you said, it would seem that we would already be feeling the symptoms. It's been nearly 3 weeks since we had originally been in Ethan's tract, if memory serves.
Well, due to the fact that you're still here standing in front of me, I can assume that Ben took the appropriate precautions and did not directly tell you about this magical disease outside of the confines of this room.
So it's the mention of the disease that is the catalyst of this
It's orally
affliction.
transmitted.
That is correct.
Transmitted. So hold up. So we could have potentially just saved Arborsdale and then at the same time doomed them.
Had you had that knowledge, you certainly could have started something much worse than you were aware of.
And pray tell, is it just you and Ben here that know of this disease? It seems that knowledge of this history not only would be purged, but actively stamped out, which in of itself seems rather, totalitarian in its attempts at stamping out this disease. But, I mean, by happenstance, we did not mention these symptoms. Even if by accident we could have started something that evidently cannot be reversed.
Many of the people who are aware of the disease's presence, they reside here as a part of my staff and my research team. There were others that sadly did not have the mental faculties to be able to keep the secret to themselves. We had to either see to their exile or demise. But sometimes we need to make difficult decisions for the greater good. So she's basically saying that there were like the mentally handicapped, the people that physically could not do anything about not spreading this disease. They had to do something about that because you can't just let that go.
This is tough.
Pretty extreme measures.
Wayward spellcraft.
Or an extreme problem.
Sick of it.
Sometimes that's what's required.
Have you made any progress finding the source? Could we help?
I've had hints and clues here and there, some bits and pieces to weave together into a greater whole, but for now, no enlightenment has come to me, sadly.
Is there any history redacted from the outside world that you have here that we could perhaps look into, see if we can maybe have a fresh perspective on things?
Any direct history mentioning the disease has been purged.
How about the history of Ethan's tract prior to this event occurring? Like right up until this point, we were able to find historical information about it, but
What about the young
Excuse you, I got-
spellcaster that started all this? Is he still alive?
Stop that sneeze by making a stupid face.
No one knows. None know the identity of the spellcaster, and none know his whereabouts or his current doings at this time. It has been many years since the event would have taken place.
so I suppose any cataloging of the people that died in the initial outbreak, that is gone too. And even prior to that, were there any records of the dead prior to this event from Ethan's tract that you are aware of?
Was there any record of the dead before?
Like obituaries of anybody passing in Ethan's tract prior to this time frame, like just before.
That was part of our research before. Nothing that stood out to us. I believe we still have some of the information about, and this dragon is now craning its neck, looking. It just extended it about another good 6 feet, and is looking up above you guys, just like Jeffrey the giraffe, fucking Toys R Us, just reaching over into different parts of the room to look at the different bookshelves and stuff.
I just got like Vietnam flashbacks from working at Toys R Us.
Hello,
Thanks.
Darkness, mild.
Thanks.
Thankfully, I never had to put on that hellhole of a costume.
Oh God.
One of my coworkers did, and he was like, just constantly getting dehydrated. Just
You don't
sweating
have the
balls.
neck for it.
Couldn't see anything. A little girl, because he's just got a window in the neck. The little girl ran up and like hugged his leg, and he was like, because he couldn't see her. All of a sudden, just something latched onto his leg.
Well,
The horrors of Jeffrey the Giraffe.
if you'll allow us, perhaps we can peruse some of your knowledge. Maybe the arcane research that you have so far. Our associate here, Knox, is fairly gifted in the arcane. Perhaps he could provide assistance.
Any assistance in the research that you'd wish to offer would be greatly appreciated. If you have no pressing business, I don't wish to keep you.
This seems really pressing at the moment.
It certainly has garnered our attention. I mean, there are things to be done, I'm sure, but with personal knowledge of a thing such as this, how could we ignore it?
Well, I will have the proper information and literature brought to you, spellcaster. And she just kind of slightly just bows her head to you.
We actually didn't introduce our company here. And I kind of look at Ben like, thanks for the introduction. We are Swiftguard. I don't know if you've heard of our company. We're newly formed in the guild.
This was Shay.
Oh yeah, your reputation has gotten the rounds.
I apologize. I forgot because I've only met you like once.
And you were several feet shorter.
Yes.
And a man.
And man.
Which, thank you again for, the assistance
No.
you've garnered us in the past.
Well, sometimes I get bored here, and I'd like to go out and just see what kind of fun little trouble I can mix up. And I noticed the four of you coming together had certain ramifications on, we'll call it the strings of fate, whatever you wish to call them, but it seemed a more momentous occasion than you might have known, so I kept tabs on you, and being the lovely creature that I am, she takes one of her clawed hands and just kind of runs it over the front of her chest, like the golden gleaming scales on the front of her body, as she says it. I have amassed quite a hoard over the years, and I could give away a few knickknacks every now and then. If I made a little money for it, even better. So basically, this dragon has been peddling you things from its hoard.
Nice.
No, you're a hoarder.
Thank you.
All dragons are hoarders, man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
horrendously so.
Hoarder, I hardly know her.
Hoarder.
I kind of look at Hangman. I'm like, come on, man.
Show some.
Well, now that introductions and pleasantries, as well as more pressing business, has been attended to, I'd like to broach the topic of the celestial occurrence that happened a few weeks ago. The red streak.
Yeah. That was us.
Yeah.
Well, I don't necessarily know if it was us, but I mean we might have been involved in such a thing.
Yeah, do you know anything about it?
As you guys say all of this in response, she's been kind of not facing like directly 100% full dead on to you, but she now turns and faces straight onto you guys and locks her gaze on all four of you and just unfurls her wings just a tiny little bit. Like her stance is getting like kind of scary, and I need you all to make a wisdom saving throw.
Yep.
Yep. I think I did it.
Yeah, 24.
Yes, Hingman is a little bit frightened.
Son of a bitch.
So everybody but Heskar is now frightened of this dragon.
No, he said everyone except for me. So you two failed as well.
Oh wow.
You matched that DC.
With a
Damn, dude. And you're a dragon, so.
Dragons, dude.
Dragonborn.
Anytime they roll or you roll against them, it's bad. So, as you guys kind of say this, and she changes her posture a little bit and just kind of gives you the eye, she just says one word. She just looks at you and says, "Explain."
I'll let Heskar do that, and I kind of hide my piss.
I kind of composing a little bit. It was the first official mission of our guild, or our group here. We had been commissioned to find out where these missing fishermen and inhabitants of a village far to the north. I believe it was Fisher's Island, if memory serves. Sorry, Angler's Island. We investigated and found it to be caused by a series of, I believe, fish people of some sort of cult, and in that ruins that they inhabited, we found an altar. It was very arcane and unknown in design, and it seemed to include a idol of some sort. And we had taken that from the altar. I myself had seen to it that the altar could be of no more use. But we brought that back to the mayor of Angler's Island, and he had...
He wasn't the mayor.
Mogren.
Apologies. A fellow that was a guild contact by the name of Mogren. He was the one that I believe had put the contract in. Mogren had said he was going to take the icon, and he was going to bring it to Elidor. He had companions there that were more versed in arcane research, and they were going to be able to discern what had what it was used for. And it was at this time when we had taken the idol out that the red streak you so very astutely looked or saw in the sky. That was when that tear had occurred. And I believe that is all the pertinent details of where we were when the situation occurred. Kind of look at the other guys, and I'm like, yeah? Okay.
I don't think you left anything out.
We definitely stumbled upon some sort of old god
Tomfoolery.
cult of some sort. What were they, like Toa Loa or something like that? The fish people?
Kuatoa.
Kuatoa.
Kuatoa were the specific race.
So, as you guys are talking amongst yourselves, Heskar, you notice that the other guys are, you're now a step ahead of them, but you didn't move. They backed up as you were talking to the dragon. So it's...
And I'm like, guys.
My dudes.
I'm a dude.
And, you tell her all of this, and her tail just kind of slaps the floor every so often after you're done. So you're telling me that on your first real outing together, the four of you possibly had dealings with a cult that was worshipping an old god, which was followed by a giant red streak across the night sky. Is that correct?
And then we passed oral knowledge on the Ethan's trapped to other people.
Yes.
We've been fucking shit up for a while, apparently.
That is correct. That is what had transpired. Admittedly, it was a rather large first step, but such is the nature of things.
She starts walking towards the four of you, and as she walks, Knox, Hangman, and Wainwright, you guys are just, as soon as she starts moving towards you, you're moving backwards, just like keeping that same distance between you, like, oh, fuck no. But Heskar, you're staying still.
Yeah, I gotta have my hands just kind of like crossed in front of me, like,
She gets about
Hiding, you have a cloak, right?
Yeah, I got a cloak.
I'm hiding behind your cloak, just like peeking and shit.
Okay.
She stops about 30 feet away from you and just sits in a like stereotypical cat slash sphinx kind of just like sitting straight up to it, you know, forearms in front of her on the ground, hind legs behind her, just tail kind of wrapped around her body, and she's looking almost like her body is now behind her as her long neck is arcing upward, forward just a little bit, and then like straight down at you, Heskar. So you basically have to look straight up to talk to her if you're going to look her in the face.
I do.
The next time that the four of you go traipsing about, take a little more caution in what you interact with and what you interfere with.
My apologies. I wasn't aware that magical maladies was of a lesser degree than disturbing cultists. I feel that it is a give and take in this scenario. Yes, we may have stumbled upon something outside of our realm of capability at the time, but it seems with quite a bit more time, resources, preparation, you are of a similar state with this Ethan Track business. So, with the utmost respect, I would ask that you garner us a little bit of leeway in this.
Yeah.
I kind of look back. Thanks, guys. but I resume looking at her.
I have lived centuries. I've met some of the old gods. It was not pleasant. I just wanted to make it a clear point that you should take care in these sort of matters.
And I will take your counsel with the utmost consideration. And I thank you for your advice in these matters. Any additional knowledge that you might have in this scenario would certainly be appreciated. And perhaps if, we were able to provide more visual aid of the symbols that we saw on the idol, perhaps that might garner more memory, or perhaps you may be aware of any cults that were in the area of Angler's Island. Sorry, this way.